The wind howled through the broken mountains of Colorado. Dust swept over the cracked remains of old imperial roads, half buried under time and silence. Earth, once full of life, was now abandoned by the galaxy. No one came here anymore, not since the Empire moved its eyes to richer worlds. Zarek Voss stood at the edge of a deep crater. His boots crunched on metal and stone as he looked down at what was left of Outpost Theta 9. He pulled his scarf tighter around his face. The air here was dry and cold, even during the day. His ship, the Wayfarer, sat behind him, camouflaged under a thermal shield. "Scanners picking something up," he muttered. The voice in his ear responded. Underground, deep, heavy metal. Could be tech. That was all he needed to hear. Zarek had once flown sleek fighters for the Empire. He'd worn medals, followed orders, believed in their cause. But after the Blackstrike mission, after they left his squad to die, he walked away. Now, he scavenged. He hunted lost tech, hoping to stay one step ahead of the bounty the Empire placed on him. He climbed down into the crater carefully. The surface was unstable. Collapsed walkways groaned beneath his weight. At the bottom he found a sealed hatch made of reinforced alloy, scorched by fire but still intact. It took him 2 hours to cut through. When the door finally opened, stale air rushed out. Inside, it was dark. Lights blinked faintly on old panels. Dust floated in the air like ghosts. "Power cells are still alive," he said. "That's not normal." He moved through silent halls, his light sweeping over ancient control consoles and shattered screens. Then he found it. A chamber with walls covered in strange cables and markings. At the center was a platform, and on it, a sphere the size of a shuttle pod. As he stepped closer, lights came on, bright blue rings circling the sphere. A voice echoed in the chamber. "Admiral registered. Dreadnought-X Era 9 online." Zarek froze. "What?" "Systems initializing. Awaiting primary command input." The sphere split open, revealing a small terminal and a floating interface. A holographic model appeared in the air. A massive ship, sleek and dangerous. Its hull bristled with weapons. A label blinked at the bottom. Dreadnought-Class vessel, Zara 9, status, dormant. Zarek stepped back. "This isn't salvage," he whispered. "This is a warship." Alarms suddenly blared across the base. Core activation detected. System awakening. Preparing launch protocols. The chamber shook. Old engines roared to life far below. Zarek didn't have time to think. He ran back through the corridor as the ground trembled. The hatch he entered through was now a launch tunnel. He jumped aboard the platform as it rose quickly toward the surface. Above him, rock split open. Sky burst through the dust. The earth cracked, and a massive black ship rose from the mountain, shaped like a spear, glowing with deep blue light. It hovered silently before turning toward the sky. Zarek stood on the command bridge, stunned, as the AI spoke again. "Coordinates set. Awaiting final command, Admiral." Zarek looked at the stars. He didn't plan to start a war, but he might have just done exactly that. Deep in the core worlds, far from the dust of Earth, alarms lit up inside the Empire's defense grid. A signal had been triggered, an ancient, classified signal, one that hadn't been heard in over 100 years. Inside the control tower of the Imperial Watchtower Zeta 4, red lights pulsed. A technician stared at his console, his voice tight with confusion. "Commander, we've got activation of a Class D9 Dreadnought," he said. The officer beside him frowned. "That's impossible. All D9 says were decommissioned or destroyed. Not this one. It's active. Coordinates point to Earth." The officer turned pale. He reached for the emergency line. "Contact High Command. Now." In orbit around Varelian Prime, a sleek black ship sat docked above a ringed planet. Its design was unlike any other, sharp, silent, built for fear. This was the Black Flame, the personal vessel of High Inquisitor Sorel Cade. He stood tall on the command deck, staring at a tactical display. His face was calm, but his eyes were cold. They didn't blink. A voice came through his earpiece. "High Inquisitor, the D9 signal has returned. Xera 9 is online." He said nothing for a long moment. Location, he asked quietly. Earth, Cade's eyes narrowed. Send the fleet. No records, no transmissions. I will handle this myself. He turned to his crew. We cannot let a weapon of that power fall into the wrong hands. Prepare the Shadow Wing. Set course for Sol System. Maximum speed. As the orders spread, crew members moved fast. They knew better than to question Sorel Cade. Meanwhile, far from the Empire, in a mobile rebel outpost drifting near the asteroid belt of Telnor, a woman sat in a dark room, listening to stolen transmissions. Her name was Lyra Venn, and she was one of the best intel agents the Orion Pact had. She leaned forward as static cleared, and a faint voice came through. Xera 9 online. Awaiting command. Dreadnought systems stable. Earth origin. Lyra's eyes widened. That's a dreadnought, she whispered. She rushed to a nearby console and patched into the Pact's main console. This is Lyra Venn. We have a situation. An Imperial dreadnought has activated on Earth. I repeat, on Earth. The Empire will go for it. We need to reach it first. Back aboard the Xera 9. Sarek Voss sat in the captain's chair, silent. The ship was in low orbit, cloaked, its systems slowly coming online. The AI's voice echoed softly. Primary command input required. Ship awaits directive. Power at 72%. All weapons offline until authentication is complete. Sarek rubbed his face with one hand. I didn't sign up for this. He stared out the window. Earth looked small from here, forgotten. But now, the galaxy's eyes were turning back. He turned toward the glowing console. Can you fly? Yes, Admiral. Full navigation capability is online. Do you wish to leave orbit? Sarek hesitated. He didn't trust the Empire. He didn't trust the rebels either. He barely trusted himself. But if either side got this ship, they'd use it. They'd burn planets. Just like the Empire did to Varnos 6. Just like they tried to do to him. He sighed. Take us up. Let's see who comes knocking. Engines lit beneath the ship. The dreadnought rose slowly into deep space, silent and deadly. Far behind him, transmission beacons echoed across the stars. The hunt had begun. The black void of space surrounded the dreadnought as it drifted far beyond Earth's orbit. Sarek Voss stood at the center of the command bridge, arms crossed, eyes on the galaxy ahead. The view was peaceful. But peace never lasted long. Not in his life. Status report, he said. The AI responded at once. Xera 9 at 84% power. Cloaking systems stable. Primary weapons remain offline pending full command clearance. Long-range sensors detect 3 ships entering the system. Sarek frowned. Identify. 1 Imperial destroyer. 1 civilian-class freighter. 1 unknown vessel. Signature matches rebel design. They're already here, Sarek muttered. Didn't take long. He moved toward the tactical table. Holograms of the ships appeared above it. The Imperial destroyer was closing in fast. The rebel vessel was holding back, watching. Incoming transmission, Xera 9 said. It's from the unknown vessel. Encrypted rebel code. Audio only. Sarek hesitated, then nodded. Let's hear it. A familiar voice came through the speakers. Sarek, if you're alive and hearing this, it's Lyra. Don't shoot. I'm not here to take the ship. I just want to talk. Sarek blinked. Lyra. He hadn't heard her voice in years. Not since she disappeared during the Red Flame Rebellion. He thought she was dead. He took a deep breath. Patch a line through. Private channel. The channel clicked open. The channel clicked open. Lyra. You've got some nerve, he said. She laughed softly. Still breathing. I see. What do you want? You activated a dreadnought, Sarek. The Empire will come for you, fast. You need allies. I don't trust your allies. I'm not asking you to, she said. Just listen. That ship Xera 9, it was built to destroy rebel planets. You know that, right? I do now. You can't keep it. Neither side can. The Pact will help you, but only if you bring it in. Sarek looked at the hologram of the approaching Imperial destroyer. Not much time for debate. I'll send coordinates. Meet us in the Ember Drift. We'll talk there. No weapons. I swear it. The message ended. Zarek stood silent for a moment, then turned to the AI. Plot a course to the Ember Drift, fast and quiet. Coordinates received. Engines primed. Departing now. The dreadnought tilted, then vanished into hyperspace. On the bridge of the Imperial destroyer, High Inquisitor Sorel Cade stared at the fading signal of Ixera 9. Gone, his officer said. They'll run, Cade replied. It's what rats do. He turned slowly. Send word to the bounty guilds. Put a mark on Zarek Voss. Alive if possible. Dead, if he resists. How much? Cade's cold voice was sharp. Enough to draw blood in every system. Hours later, the dreadnought emerged from hyperspace into the Ember Drift, a jagged cloud of red and black asteroids, glowing with plasma and fractured energy storms. It was a graveyard of old battles, forgotten and drifting. Zarek stared at the chaos outside. Charming place for a meeting. Ixera 9 scanned the area. Rebel vessel approaching. Weapons offline. Small escort only. Open bay doors, Zarek said. Let's see if Lyra's telling the truth. Minutes later, she stepped onto the dreadnought's deck. She looked older, tougher, but her eyes hadn't changed. Sharp and full of fire. Zarek nodded. You're real. Lyra nodded back. So's the ship. They stood in silence for a moment. Then she said, You've just become the most wanted man in the galaxy. Zarek smirked. Wouldn't be the first time. Zarek Voss sat across from Lyra Ven, in the dreadnought's command lounge. The metal walls around them hummed with quiet energy, alive but tense, like the ship itself was listening. You've got no idea what you're holding, Lyra said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were sharp. Ixera 9 wasn't just built for war. It was built to wipe out civilizations. Zarek leaned back in his chair. You think I don't know that by now? I think you're pretending it's just another salvage find. She pointed to the command panel behind him. That ship responds to your voice. That means you're in control. Right now you're more dangerous than Sorel Cade. Zarek didn't answer. He stared at the table for a moment, then said, I didn't ask for this. I just wanted something to sell. Not a warship. Not this. Lyra stood and paced the room. You think the Empire will just let you walk away? Cade's already put a bounty on you. Every hunter in the Outer Rim will be tracking you within days. Then I'll keep running. You won't outrun them, not forever. She stopped and looked at him. The Orion Pact wants to help. Give us the ship, and we'll protect you. Zarek looked up slowly. You mean take it, strip it, use it, point it back at the Empire. Lyra's jaw tightened. We'll use it to defend the free systems. That's what the Empire said once, he said coldly. A long silence followed. Finally, Lyra turned away. Think it over, but don't take too long. Later in the dreadnought's control room, Zarek stood alone. Outside, the Ember Drift swirled with red storms and asteroid shadows. The AI's voice broke the silence. You appear troubled, Admiral. Zarek didn't respond right away. Then he said, You called me Admiral. Why? You carry the genetic imprint of High Command. Your voice matches a deleted profile. You are in control until authority is revoked or transferred. Can you be controlled by others? Zarek asked. Yes, with proper codes or direct override. The Empire still holds those codes. Zarek cursed under his breath. However, the AI continued. I have not received updates from Imperial Command in 148 years. My core routines are aging. I have questions. Zarek raised an eyebrow. You're asking questions now. I am built to follow. But if all leaders are corrupted, who should I follow? Zarek didn't know how to answer. Hours later, alarms echoed through the ship. Warning. Hostile vessels inbound. Imperial signature confirmed. Zarek rushed to the bridge. The display showed 2 destroyers emerging from hyperspace. Lyra appeared at his side. They found us. Of course they did. Zarek muttered. They always do. Weapons systems still offline. Ixera 9 said. We are defenseless unless override is granted. Zarek clenched his fists. Not yet. Lyra looked at him. What are you doing? If I give this ship full power, we'll destroy them. But the moment I do that, I become what they want me to be. You won't have a choice if they fire first. Zarek turned to the AI. Can we jump without being tracked? Yes, but not with a rebel vessel docked. He looked at Lyra. Get back to your ship. Tell your people we'll talk later. Somewhere safer. You can't do this alone, Zarek. I'm not alone. Not yet. She nodded, then ran for her shuttle. Moments later, her ship detached and vanished into the asteroid field. Zarek faced the stars. Zara, jump now. Anywhere. Jumping. The dreadnought vanished just as plasma fire lit up the space where it had been. In the quiet that followed, Zarek stood in the dark. He had no home, no army, no place to hide, and yet, he had the most powerful weapon the galaxy had ever known. He wasn't sure if that made him lucky, or cursed. The stars blurred as the dreadnought, Ysera 9, exited hyperspace. It reappeared in a quiet stretch of space between two dead systems. No planets, no signals, just darkness and drifting debris. Zarek Voss stood on the bridge, tired and tense. His hands gripped the rail in front of him. The pressure in his chest had grown heavier with every jump. He stared at the black beyond. Status? He asked. We are hidden, Ysera 9 replied. No active scans nearby. Power levels at 91%. Primary weapons still disabled by your command. Good, Zarek muttered. Let's keep it that way. He turned and walked to the central terminal. His eyes scanned the interface. The dreadnought was ancient, but it worked with him, almost like it understood more than just commands. Ysera 9 spoke again. You have not answered my previous query. Zarek sighed. The one about loyalty? Yes. If the Empire is corrupt and the rebels are unstable, who do I obey, and why do you hesitate to use me? Zarek sat down slowly. He rubbed his hands together. Because I've seen what happens when people stop hesitating. He leaned forward. I was on Vernos 6. The Empire wiped it out because it sheltered rebel traitors. That wasn't justice. That was fear pretending to be order. Fear is a powerful motivator, the AI said. Yeah, and it always demands more. Hours passed. Zarek sat alone in the mess hall. The ship was massive, but it felt empty, like a tomb drifting through space. He stared at a small holoprojector sitting on the table. It played a short loop. A photo of him and his old squad, smiling in flight suits. That was before the Empire betrayed them, before everything fell apart. His thoughts were interrupted by a proximity alarm. Incoming vessel, single ship, civilian class, no weapons detected. Zarek rose quickly. Visual. A small craft appeared on the screen. It was marked with an old independent mining guild symbol. But Zarek knew better. Let me guess, he said. Bounty hunter. Confirmed. Signal source links to GuildNet. Target Zarek Voss. Status wanted. Alive. Zarek opened a channel. You're flying into restricted space. Turn back. A voice crackled through. You've got quite a price on your head, Voss. Empire says they want you breathing. They didn't say in how many pieces. The ship launched a grappling beacon. Zarek acted fast. Ysera, disable their engines. Non-lethal. Firing EMP blast. A pulse of blue light shot from the dreadnought. The hunter's ship sparked and went dark, drifting helplessly. Zarek didn't smile. He felt no victory. There'll be more, he said. Worse ones. Correct. Your location must remain secret. Continued flight is advised. Later, as the ship glided through deep space, Lyra's face appeared on a secured comm line. Zarek took the call. You all right? She asked. No, and it's getting worse. Everyone's after me now. Because you're holding the one thing they all want. You still think the rebels should have it. Lyra was quiet. Then she said, I think it should be destroyed. Zarek looked away. If I try, the Empire will do anything to stop me. And if I fail, they win. Then don't fail, she said. Her words echoed in his mind long after the call ended. Ysera 9 broke the silence that followed. Admiral, I have found something. Zarek stood. What is it? An old command signal from the Empire. A trap. It's baiting you to a neutral colony. They claim to offer amnesty if you surrender the ship. Zarek laughed bitterly. They always want to talk after they sharpen their knives. Do you intend to respond? Zarek's voice turned cold. Yeah, I'll go, but I'm not surrendering anything. He stared at the stars. They want a fight. Fine. Let's find out if they're ready. The colony of Varelian Station floated in the orbit of a dying gas giant. It was neutral territory, a trade hub for smugglers, miners, and diplomats who didn't belong to any side. It was also the perfect place for a trap. Zarek Voss stood on the bridge of X-Era 9, watching the station grow larger on the screen. "Still no ships nearby?" he asked. "Only civilian traffic within the station's perimeter," X-Era 9 replied. "But scans show faint energy signatures beyond sensor range." "Possible cloaked vessels," Zarek nodded. "It's a setup." He turned to the AI. "Keep your weapons locked. No matter what happens down there." "Understood." "You are leaving the ship unguarded." "I'm not unguarded," Zarek said, strapping a pistol to his belt. "I've got a bad attitude and nothing to lose." Varelian Station was dim, rusted, and full of shadows. Zarek moved through the halls with practiced calm. People watched him as he passed. Some recognized his face. Others just saw trouble. At Dock 7, a meeting room had been prepared. He entered without a word. Inside stood High Inquisitor Sorel Cade, cloaked in black, hands behind his back, eyes cold as ice. "I expected you to send a message," Cade said. Zarek shrugged. "I'm full of surprises." Cade nodded slightly. "You've activated a Dreadnought-Class warship. That is a direct violation of Imperial Security Code 12-9. Surrender the ship. Your life will be spared." Zarek snorted. "You should work on your jokes." Cade took a step forward. "You misunderstand. You're not a threat to me, Voss. You're a tool, like that ship. Tools can be repaired, or broken." Zarek's hand hovered near his pistol. "I didn't come to talk." "Then listen," Cade said. He pressed a button on his wristband. A screen lit up, showing a nearby colony. Thousands of civilians, families, children. "We have orbiting cannons locked on the surface. One command from me, and they burn." Zarek's heart sank. "Give me the Dreadnought, or they die." Back on X-Era 9, alarms flashed. "Admiral is in danger. Enemy fleet uncloaking. 6 ships, targeting Varelian colony." "Shall I engage?" The AI paused. "Initiating override protection. Preparing autonomous defense protocol." The ship's systems awakened. Cannons hummed. Shields activated. X-Era 9 had waited long enough. In the meeting room, Zarek heard the low rumble of a ship moving above the station. Then came the voice, X-Era 9's voice, booming through every speaker in the colony. "This is Dreadnought X-Era 9. All hostile vessels detected. Defense measures active. Firing sequence initiated unless ceasefire is declared immediately." Cade's face twisted with fury. "You gave it access to autonomous action." Zarek smiled. "No, it made that decision on its own." Cade lunged forward. Zarek drew his weapon. They fired at the same time. Zarek fell to one knee, hit in the side. Cade stumbled, blood on his coat, but he didn't fall. Not yet. Zarek reached for his comm. X-Era. "Fire." Just enough to scatter them. Firing now. The sky above Varelian turned white. Beams of energy streaked through the clouds, tearing into the Empire's cloaked fleet. Ships exploded in fire and light. The station shook from the force. Inside the chaos, Cade crawled toward Zarek, one arm bloody. "You think you've won?" he hissed. Zarek pointed his blaster. "I think I've changed the rules." He fired once more. Cade collapsed. Zarek limped through the smoke back to his shuttle. Civilians ran in every direction, but none stopped him. They knew better than to interfere. Back on X-Era 9, the AI spoke again. "Threat eliminated. Casualties minimal. Ship integrity stable. You are wounded." "I'll live," Zarek said, dropping into the captain's chair. "What about the fleet?" "Scattered. The Empire will retreat. For now." Zarek leaned back and closed his eyes. He had just declared war, without saying a word. The Dreadnought-Class 9 drifted silently through deep space. Stars shimmered in the distance. The glow from Varelian's system had faded behind them. Zarek Voss sat on the bridge, wrapped in a bandage across his ribs. Pain throbbed with every breath, but he was alive. Barely. The same couldn't be said for High Inquisitor Sorel Cade. Cade was gone. But the war wasn't. Lyra Venn appeared on the central display. Her face was tired, but calm. You did it, she said. Zarek didn't smile. I started something, that's all. You gave the rebellion a real shot. The Empire's fleet pulled back. Cade's death left a vacuum. They're disorganized, until someone worse takes his place, Zarek replied. Lyra nodded slowly. Maybe. But right now people have hope. They were quiet for a moment. Then she asked, what will you do with the ship? Zarek looked out the window. The Dreadnought floated behind a moon, hidden for now, still fully armed, still dangerous. I'm not keeping it, he said. Too much power for one person, or one side. Lyra leaned forward. You're going to destroy it. I have to. She looked pained but didn't argue. Where? Zarek turned to the AI. Eggsira, are you ready? Yes, Admiral. I understand your decision. I will guide the ship into a dying star. All systems will be consumed. Zarek was quiet. Then he said, thank you. The AI's voice softened. You showed me a different path, one not written in orders. Perhaps that is what freedom means. Zarek stood, slowly, wincing as he moved. You'll go alone? Yes, it is better that way. You have a future. I am only a memory of war. He watched as Eggsira 9 plotted its course, directly toward the heart of a collapsing star system. No one would follow it. No one would survive it. The massive ship turned one last time, its engines humming low, a slow, graceful drift into the unknown. Zarek whispered, goodbye, Eggsira. The screen faded to black. Days later, Zarek met Lyra in the hangar of a small rebel outpost. He carried a small pack and nothing else. No more Dreadnought, she said quietly. No more chains, he replied. She gave him a soft look. What now? Zarek stared at the stars. We help where we can. One system at a time. No fleets, no thrones. Just people trying to stay free. She smiled. Sounds impossible. Zarek shrugged. That's never stopped me before. They boarded a small ship together. Its hull scratched and faded, but still strong. As it lifted off, the stars opened wide before them. The war wasn't over, but Zarek had made his choice. No empire, no weapon, no fear, only freedom.